Basically, in 2006, I had Graves' disease. I was diagnosed with Graves' disease, and that's hyperthyroidism. It's the one where you eat literally like your husband. You eat a whole bunch. You eat a lot of food, and you just keep burning it off, and you can't keep enough food in. You get a goiter in your throat. Your eyes bulge out, and you have really high heart rate. And it's a wonderful disease if you want to lose weight. I'll tell you, if you want it, you want Graves' disease for that reason. But other than that, you don't really want it. But in '06, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease, and that's when everything in my life literally changed. I went to nursing school first. I wanted to be a nurse. That's all I ever wanted to do, was be a nurse and make a difference in people's life by making them feel better if they're sick, or if they're having a bad day, just make them smile, because I am a little weird, so that didn't take much for me either. So nursing is what my love was, my passion. But in '06, after being diagnosed with the Graves' disease, with everything changing, it got really detrimental for me, because every preparation for the surgery was coming up, and the doctors were thinking everything was great. They had seen numbers they've never seen before, so that was kind of concerning about the surgery. The day before the operation, the surgeon calls me at work, and he says, "You're going to die on the operating table tomorrow if we operate. We've got to postpone your thyroid surgery for a month because you're too hot, and if we operate, you could die out of thyroid storm." Thyroid storm is when they put anesthesia in your body, like you do if you're having a baby or any other surgery or anything like that. They are going to put the anesthesia in, and it's going to convulse my body. My heart rate is going to go so fast, and I'm going to have a fever of 105 plus, and it'll end up killing me. So he wanted to prevent that, and I do thank him for that. So a month passes by, nothing changes. The medicine did not cool me down, and he's like, "We've got to get this out of your system. We've got to get it out of your body. So let's just do what we can do. We're going to have extra doctors in there, extra hands. So if you do go into thyroid storm, we can hopefully get you out." So the morning comes, I'm in my surgery, and yes, I start going into thyroid storm. But luckily, as you see, I'm still standing here. They were able to stop it before anything detrimentally happened. After the surgery, I went home. I was able to be a nurse for a little while longer, enjoyed myself, got back into exercise, and just did my normal everyday thing. In about 6 months, maybe a little less, I started feeling these symptoms again. I started feeling high heart rate all the time, and I started feeling palpitations in your body. I don't know if y'all have ever experienced a heart palpitation, but it is the weirdest thing when you're just sitting and you can feel your heart coming out of your chest. I was getting very nauseous all the time, and I wasn't pregnant. I didn't know that, there was no reason for me to be nauseous all the time, so that was no fun. But basically, I'm fatigued all the time, where I can barely even move most days. Some days my husband has to dress me or bathe me or push me up the stairs all the time, and it's just it just was like, whoa, where'd this come from? So finally, I was like, okay, I'm going to go see another doctor to find out what's going on with me, because this isn't normal, because I had to go to the ER, which started it because I was having an attack. And basically, my attacks are similar to a heart attack, and they can last for 30 minutes, they can last for 6 hours, they can last longer than that, and it's whenever my body chooses to let it stop. The doctors had no clue what was wrong with me, and so I went a few years not knowing what was wrong. I couldn't get a diagnosis with me. I traveled to specialty doctors. No one could help me. We moved here from Tennessee, and we had a cardiologist here. He still didn't know what was wrong, but he did do a heart surgery in 2008. The heart surgery did not fix it. He was able to fix part of it, but not the whole thing. And this disease I have is so new that's why nobody was able to diagnose me. He finally said, all right, we're going to take you to someplace else, which we're used to. And they took me to Mayo Clinic, the neatest hospital in the world. I must say, if y'all need to get sick and you need somewhere to go, Mayo Clinic is top notch. I'd go there. But we went to Mayo Clinic, and they had tests run on me for 5 straight days. And they finally diagnosed me. And I was kind of mixed emotions about it. I was angry because I didn't want the diagnosis that I was given. And I was happy, though, because finally I had answers to why my body is acting up every stinking day. They told me I've got POTS syndrome. It's postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And then I've got inappropriate sinus tachycardia. Lots of big, giant words. I can't spell them, but I can hopefully say them. But there are two conditions. I've got an adrenal condition, and in school you learn fight or flight. My body, the easiest way for me to describe it to you, I'm in constant flight. My body acts as if a predator is constantly chasing after me, and that is how my body is reacting 24/7. I'm short of breath. This isn't nerves, I promise. I just get short of breath. I get hot flashes. I'm fatigued because my heart rate is so messed up, and I get upset stomach. I get the attacks, and I live this every day. It's a long-term illness I'll never get rid of. Some days I would sometimes maybe want to wish it on an enemy, but it is so bad that I don't even want to on those days. It is the most miserable condition, disease that anyone can have. It literally can debilitate you. And then they said the heart condition. And the reason I have to have two is the adrenaline that is shooting from my adrenal gland shoots up to my heart, which then makes my heart beat erratically, which is why I have the attacks. And these attacks, we don't know if they're safe. We're assuming they're safe. That's what the doctors are thinking, but this is a new disease. We don't know, but we don't know when they're going to happen. And that is the reason why I can no longer be a nurse. I'm a liability on the job. They were afraid that if I was at work one day and I had an attack, that I would be a liability. I could harm me. I could harm someone else. And so the Mayo Clinic told me I need to quit being a nurse. I got to just go home and take care of myself. Then they told me more just horrible news of you can't have kids. It's not safe to have kids. It's too dangerous to have kids. And I'm thinking, okay, you've just destroyed my life more than one time now. You've told me I can't have kids. I can't be a nurse and work anymore. Literally, what is there left to do in this world if you can't do those two things, be a mommy or work? So I literally went home from that weekend extremely put out. I was angry with God. I was angry with anyone healthy. I was angry with anyone that could have kids. I just was angry. I was not fun to live with. Ask my husband. I don't know, we actually almost divorced during this time frame because when you experience a long-term illness, I don't know if anyone in your families have experienced this, but finances are one of the first things to go because you can't pay your bills. One person can't work. The doctor bills are so expensive. So the finances really took a toll on our marriage. I used to be so extroverted and crazy and just want to go out and do constantly, and that's who he married. This disease has made me turn into an introvert in a lot of ways. All I ever want to do is stay at home because I don't have energy to do anything. I don't ever have energy or the ability to do a lot of stuff. Like I can't go to the movies. I can't do concerts and certain activities anymore because I get attacks in certain environments. And so it took a toll on the marriage of, okay, you can't do what you used to do. We can't do what we've always done. You're not who you used to be. And so we literally almost separated during this time after coming home from Mayo Clinic. So all of this happens, and I'm sitting here. He's going off to work every day. The world is functioning as normal, and I'm stuck at home, sitting on the couch, wondering, okay, what am I supposed to do with the rest of my life? And so I literally just stared at the walls all day. And I love painting, I do, and I literally painted my whole house during this time. And he would come home, and I would be like, can we paint some more? He was like, no, you've painted enough. Go find something else to do with yourself. And so finally, it was a couple of years. And I want you to know that it is okay to be angry with God. That is the part of grieving. And if you read about it, and if you go to any psychology, because I did go to psychology school before nursing school, because I wanted to help people who have been abused, because I was abused in my past, and I wanted to help other women who have been abused by boyfriends, by other people, anybody. And I wanted to help them through it. So I know that that is part of grieving. I was angry with God, I was angry with people, and that's part of the being able to go from your worst bottom line to something incredible that God can make you. I was there for 2 years. During this time frame, we are originally from Tennessee. Well, me kind of, I'm military family, so I'm from Tennessee, and our parents both live there. My family has season tickets to the UT Vols. I'm kind of embarrassed to say that right now, but they have season tickets, and my husband is a huge fan, so I go back to the games for him. I only go for the mascots because I just care about mascots, and that's about it. So I went back for him to go see a game. And while we were there, Don Piper, have you ever heard of Don Piper? He wrote 90 Minutes in Heaven. Have you read the book? Isn't it incredible? Well, he actually was a surprise for me that weekend. He was speaking at our parents' church. He was giving his testimony of his account of when he had his accident. And that is one of the only books that I loved and read and just was wow about. So I could not wait for Sunday morning to come for me to hear his testimony. And I will tell you now, I had an attack. Satan did exactly what he wanted to do with me. I had an attack and I got nothing out of his testimony. Nothing. Except 18 words. But I will tell you that God used those 18 words to miraculously change my life that morning. Those words were, if God can bring a dead man back to life, just imagine what he could do for you. That's the only thing I heard out of the whole hour and a half, 2-hour testimony. And I was sitting there thinking, you know what? He's right. If God can bring a dead man back to life, I'm not dead, I haven't died. Yeah, sometimes I feel like I want to die or I should be dead or I'm dying, but that doesn't mean that I can't still live my life. And I still have a big mouth, I can use that. I still am able to function, not very easily, but I can still do it. And so when I sat there and thought about what he said, God just worked with me that Sunday morning. And he literally I started praying and I said, you know what, God? I want to accept this disease finally. Because I didn't accept it for those 2 years. I didn't want to. So I finally said, all right, God, I'm going to pray that I accept this disease. I want to accept it. I want to accept it happily. I want to enjoy it as much as possible. And I want to do whatever it is that you want me to do. I don't care what it is. Just let me do something and I want to do it for you. Just tell me what you want. I happily accept this. And I cannot tell you how amazing the next thing that happened was. I've never in my life, bless you, had a vision from God, ever. If you ever have, it is the most incredible experience in your whole life. But that ever since I prayed and I accepted my disease, I started weeping like a baby. I literally could not control myself. My husband was standing up next to me, and he thought I was having a real heart attack. And he was scared out of his mind by the way I was crying. And I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm just having a moment with God. Just go on back to singing and let me pray and cry and I'll be okay. But after I accepted it, God gave me a vision. The vision was he wanted me to write a cookbook. And I laughed at him. In the middle of crying, I laughed at him. And I'll get back to that in a second because y'all do need to know how horrible of a cook I was before this weekend. But he said, I want you to write a cookbook. And then I want you to have a TV talk show down the road, and I want you to inspire people. I want you to encourage people. And I'm sitting here looking at him like, yeah, whatever, because I don't like being on camera and TV. I know it doesn't look like it now, but you kind of have to do things out of your comfort zone for God. And so after that weekend, I went home back to Virginia Beach, and I started watching the Food Network. Did y'all have any clue that there's a Food Network cooking channel? Well, I was watching that, and that is actually where I went to culinary school, was Food Network in my living room. Do I need to stop? No? Okay. That's where I went to culinary school, was in my living room watching cooking channels every single day, all day long, every day. I did the other half in my kitchen, trial and error. Now, I'm going to go back and tell you the disastrous parts of my life that are a hoot and a half to listen to, which is why I laughed at God. When I was a little girl, my dad was at war, my mom was walking with the neighborhood with a friend, and I was at home alone, and I wanted a little snack before dinner, which was hours later. She had bagels on the counter. I love bagels, so I put a bagel in the microwave on a paper towel for 10 long minutes. Can y'all get an idea of where the story's going? It's not pretty. I put it in there for 10 minutes, and I left the room. And I'm in the back of the house, and all of a sudden, the house is filled with black, thick smoke. And it reeks like burnt popcorn, but 10 times worse. And then I go into the kitchen, it gets darker and darker, and I'm like, oh no, what have I done? So I go in the kitchen, and guess what happened? The microwave is on fire, the bagel is on fire, the paper towel is on fire. It's just one big fiery mess. I take it out, and I'm like, okay, my mom's going to kill me. She's going to really kill me. My dad's going to come home from war and kill me. I'm going to be a dead girl. It freaked me out. But that was one of my first cooking disasters. You can burn Jell-O. I've done it. It is possible. I did not know at the time. I'm kind of blind, and I don't like to read instructions and things. So when I made Jell-O, I put it on the sauce pot with the water. I had the baking dish over here. I was not smart enough at the time to figure out, oh, you put the Jell-O in the baking dish. Don't put it on the stove with the water. Because I actually put it in the sauce pot at the boiling hot water, and it burned the Jell-O bad. So don't ever do that if you've never done it. I've tried it, it will burn. And then the last and most horrible story. Thanksgiving, before this happened, I cooked my first turkey for my in-laws. They came to visit me. And for you who just got married, if you had a good experience, I admire you. Because my story is really pathetic. We have woods behind my house. And I cooked my turkey as the time on the package it said to cook it. I cooked it from the temperature it told me to cook it. I did everything right. I put herbs all over it, and I put onions and stuff on the inside to make it just oh so good. And then I took it out. I let it rest a little bit like you're supposed to. Then I started carving it. And it was around 1 or 2 in the morning. So I couldn't even call Butterball and say, what the heck have I done with my turkey? So I was literally winging this on my own. But I start carving it, and it's bleeding. Blood everywhere. And I, again, am not that smart at this time of cooking. I didn't know if you put it back in the oven, it'll make the juices run clear. It's fine. I thought I destroyed it. So I actually took every single bit of the bird that I'd carved, which is half of it, threw it over the fence because I thought I'd ruined it. So actually, all the little foxes in the backyard got dinner that day. All the animals that are carnivores behind my house, they got Thanksgiving that day because we really didn't, because I threw over half the bird over the fence. But that just shows that it's bad. So knowing that is why when God said, I want you to write a book, I laughed at him because I was like, you don't want me doing that. I'm going to kill people. I'm going to poison them. I'm going to burn houses down. I'm going to explode things. I catered a party one time, and I put some stuff in the oven, and I think oil got down in the bottom, and I started a grease fire inside the oven. This is the most scariest mess, and that's why I'm like, no, I'm not doing that, God. But as I told you, God's going to take you out of your comfort zone. He's going to ask you to do things that you don't think you can do, you don't want to do, but he knows you can do it. If you just have faith, rely on him, he's going to let it happen. So finally, I'm like, okay, I start watching all my shows on TV. I'm learning a little bit. And then I also discovered the little spice rack that's on your counter is not for just decoration. Because for 8 years, it was decoration. I didn't know what it was used for. I just thought it was pretty stuff in your kitchen for decoration, truly. So finally, I learned, okay, those are actually meant for something. I did toss them because they were 8 years old, and I got me some new ones, and I started using them. And I have really high cholesterol, and so I learned how to not use butter and salt, but instead flavor your food with herbs and with spices and good stuff that's not going to mess up my heart and cholesterol. So from that being said, from those TV shows, a few months and years go by, I've actually, at that time, wrote over 1,000 recipes, which is kind of shocking because when he and I first got married, we literally only ate boxed meals and that's it. I didn't know how to do anything else because I needed pictures and I needed, like for dummies, Cookbook 101 for dummies, because that's truly how I was. So we had like frozen lasagna one night, chicken pot pie another night, hamburger helper a night or two after that, and Mexican, because I really should have been born Mexican. We'd go out to eat Mexican. But that's truly what we ate. And I don't know how we did not get the size of a barn. I don't know how we're still alive eating the junk that's in those foods, but somehow we managed to survive. But long story short, that is how this book right here came about. Through prayer, because I didn't know how to write a book. I didn't know how to write a recipe. As you could tell, I didn't know how to do anything back then. So I don't know, it's truly a God thing. When God tells you to do something, he's going to make it happen. We were able to get gifts from people for this book to come about money-wise for us to be able to pay for this because these are not cheap. I still haven't paid it off. They're expensive. But God gave us the funds from gifts for people to be able to do this. He gave me the ability to write a recipe. Either if I'm at the gym, I have to sit there and remember it the whole through class until I get home, or in my sleep, I have to write it when I wake up, or it's just incredible what God will do. And so basically, that is where my whole life has taken me from. I had never dreamed I would be doing this. I didn't want to be a speaker. I didn't care about food. I didn't want to write a book, but look at me. I'm doing everything I didn't want. But again, God's going to take you out of your comfort zone. He's going to have you do what you don't want to do, what you're not really comfortable doing, and he's going to make it incredible. So the cool thing about my book is I was devastated with nursing. I wanted to be a nurse, and that's all I ever wanted. And I was thinking, God, what am I supposed to do with this degree? I went through nursing school, which was a 1-year nursing school, which I don't recommend to anyone because I became a woman that year. When you have that much stress in a short amount of time, you cry all the time. That's when I actually started crying because I didn't cry before. And I was so stressed and just, I wanted that nursing experience not to last 6 years. I wanted it to continue. So God gave me the desire and the passion and told me to put my degree in my book. And that's kind of funny when y'all think about it. How do you put nursing into a book? Because that's like blood and gore and stuff, and that shouldn't go in a book. But the nutritional part does. Basically, I wrote my recipes for my high cholesterol, high blood pressure in the family. And I wrote them for me, what I like. But then, if you don't like what I like, if you're vegan, if you're gluten-free, or if you're vegetarian, if you have peanut allergies or dairy allergies in your family or anything like that, on the bottom, here's the recipe up here of mine. Here, you've got tips to, one, how to preserve your food longer, because I had to cook on a budget, not able to pay my bills. We had to learn how to eat cheap. So I teach you how to make your food last longer so you don't have to throw it out and keep buying new food. And I also teach you how to get like garlic off your fingers because raw garlic can smell like nothing else. And I teach you how it goes away after you use it and all that kind of stuff. And then underneath the tips, I've got alternatives. And those are the alternatives for all the dietary needs that are out there that God told me to put in the book. So basically, if you have a recipe, if you have a meat or a dairy up here or something you don't like, you will then take that ingredient and you will take it over to the alternative section over here and find that ingredient and then come over and you will find the vegan version, the gluten-free version, the dairy-free version, whatever version you need, it's going to be over here on this side. So basically, if your household is a mixed household, you don't have to keep making 10 different recipes. Make the same recipe and just swap out 1 or 2 ingredients. Makes it simple. And I also talked with a bunch of women. You know, when we're cooking, we don't want to page flip and have to keep washing our hands and everything. There's no page flipping in here. And it's just a really cool book. And I know I'm biased because I wrote it, but I really think it's cool because it was God inspired. So this actually did come about. As you see it, it's here. And so I just want you guys to know that even though your life may be turned upside down, like mine was for those few years, and I'm going to tell you, just because I'm standing up here in front of you, I'm not exempt from stuff. I literally just miscarried 2 identical twins last month and had a DNC. And I am still going through stuff. Just because you think your life is figured out because God fixed you and you're having an incredible experience because He's led you on the right path, you're still going to have trials. You're still going to have problems. You're still going to have issues. They're going to rock your world. But I just want you to have hope that if you do go through a divorce or a loss of a job or with the economy, if you have issues financially or if it's a struggle, if you don't know where your life is turning, you don't know what you're supposed to do with yourself, just truly, it's okay to go through the anger, sad stage. It's okay. You need to, because if you don't, you're going to be a mess later. But do go through it, and that is the time when God is going to seek you out, and He's going to find you where you're at, and He's going to turn your life around and make it so incredible that you never thought possible that He could do or that you could do. Again, look at me. I haven't killed anyone yet. That's pretty shocking to me. So that shows that if God tells you to do it, it's going to be incredible. So I just want to give y'all an ending of hope. Do not give up on life like I did for those few years. And just, God will just reroute your dreams, or He'll just redirect it in a way that you were like, no way, I'm not doing that. But I swear, if He tells you to, it's going to happen. So I just want to give y'all that encouragement to, even though you may be handed lemons, make lemonade from it. And God is in control, and He is going to make your life so incredible that you never thought possible. So there's the short version of the testimony. Now we're going to start into the good stuff. As you heard me say, I should have been born Mexican, really, because I love their food. I eat it all the time. I'm thinking about making just a cookbook for Mexican food, and then I'd look stupid because they're like, you're not from Mexico, but that's just how much I love it. But 7-layer dip, have y'all made it before? Do you like 7-layer dip? I love it. And I made a healthy version. I didn't like that you felt guilty every time you put it on a chip. I didn't want that. And so I'm making y'all a healthy version of that today. And we're going to start. I did part of this work before you came, so I wouldn't be here till midnight doing everything. But down here, we've got vegetarian refried beans. Does anyone know why I got vegetarian versus a regular can of refried beans? The lard. Exactly. These are made with water, so you're losing a lot of calories when you buy the vegetarian form of the bean. You're very smart. Did you go to culinary school?
No, but I love Mexican.
There you go. You and I must be sisters. But yeah, she said that the others are made with lard. So you're actually getting more calorie than you want, and it's also going to not be as, of course, healthy. So get the ones that are vegetarian, and I promise they taste just as good. Also, you're eating a ton of fiber when you eat beans. And you know how people tell you that refried beans are bad for you? They're not. They're not fried. I don't know why the word fried is in them, because they're not fried. They are beans that have just been baked, and that's basically it. They're not fried. So these are healthy beans that you want to eat. Instead of using like the hamburger meat or like some people do, like taco stuff or other beans, black beans would be good with this too. But that's what we're doing here. And of course, I told you I learned what that spice rack thing was. I added some stuff to the beans to give it flavor. I added garlic powder and onion powder, and I added some paprika. No, not paprika. I added cumin and chili powder. I was thinking chili powder's red, so is paprika. But I added chili powder, cumin, garlic powder to this. So that way it'll have flavor, and it's not just 7-layer dip with no flavor. And I think that's what y'all are smelling from over there. So what I did is I put the beans in a food processor, and then I added the seasoning with it, and I just processed it up so it'd be everywhere in the bean. So next layer is salsa. Do y'all know the incredible stuff about salsa? This stuff is so healthy for you. Did y'all know that? It is so healthy. In fact, they even say instead of having salad dressing, use salsa as a dressing, and it's actually healthy for you to do. So we're going to add some salsa. I normally make my own salsa. It's one's in the book, but for time's sake, I just buy the jarred for you guys today.
What brand are you using?
This is the mild, because I know that not everyone likes hot, but this is just pecani sauce, just salsa. I can't go to the grocery store that often because of the sickness of mine. The lighting and atmosphere causes attacks, so my husband does the shopping. So I just told him buy what's affordable, and that's what he did. But this is my favorite brand. So we're going to add a layer of salsa. Sorry about my throat. That's going to be the next layer because it's another healthy layer. Now, avocados. Does everyone like avocados in here? We're going to make a cilantro lime avocado cream to go as our next layer. I cut these before you came. They look a little brown, but that's because with avocados, I'm sure you know, the reason they turn brown is they've been oxidized. They have air going to them and it browns them. So when you add citrus to the avocado, it stops the browning process. So I'm going to add a little more lime. I already added one earlier, but we're going to add another. And I just stick it in the food processor. And I actually, when I make homemade guacamole, which is also in my book, I use oranges instead of limes, and orange tastes incredible with avocado. I highly recommend it. All right, now, so far we've been very healthy. So you can eat the not so healthy in moderation because the sour cream and the cheese, honestly, is the only thing unhealthy in this whole dip. So you're going to feel okay eating it. You can, in the recipe, I say reduced fat. I can't. My adrenal disease does not, I get sick when I do it. But a reduced fat is healthier than fat-free. And do you know the reason why fat-free is not as healthy as reduced fat? When they say fat-free, they remove all the fat and replace it with sugar, so you're eating more sugar. But you can use fat-free if you want. You can do reduced fat. You can even use Greek yogurt. If you wanted to use Greek yogurt, you could do anything like that. So I'm just going to add about a half a cup. I don't like as much sour cream as I do the avocado. It's more just the creaminess. So we're going to add just about a half a cup. And if you noticed, I don't own measuring spoons and cups. I'm not a measure person. And so I just kind of, the way that I teach you to cook, you'll see in here there's no measurements that are straightforward. I have like 1 to 2 cans or 1/4 to half a teaspoon, because I don't want to be the boss of you and tell you you have to do it my way, because my title is be your own chef. So I want you to be your own chef and do what you want. So the way you cook is you start on the lighter version and then you just keep adding more till it's the flavor that you want. But I'm addicted to flavor, so I add a whole bunch. Next, we're adding cilantro. Does everyone like cilantro? Usually it's a love-hate relationship for people. They either love it or hate it. And what I can tell people, if you hate cilantro, use parsley, or if you put mint and cilantro combined, it takes the boldness of the cilantro out, so it's not as strong. So there's a little tip for you. Then we're going to just pulse it and process it. Did y'all know that parsley is a natural diuretic? So if y'all are trying to thin up for anything, like getting yourself in a nice dress or something like that, and you want to look nice, eat parsley and it'll make you pee. So there's you some parsley humor if you wanted any. It's like coffee and tea. There's a chemical in it, and it's chemical makeup that has that diuretic factor. So you really will pee a lot if you eat parsley. Not that y'all cared to know that, but. Okay, we're going to add our avocado cream on top of the salsa layer. Now, I know this is going to start to look disgusting, but I swear, when I go to book signings, this stuff gets eaten up so fast. They just love it. So it may look scary, but I promise it tastes good. And then you just, to make it pretty, you of course spoon it all the way around. Do y'all have questions? Y'all can talk and ask questions if you have any questions about food or. In this one, my husband bought really large avocados. I put 2. How many did you buy last night? 2 or 3? 4. Yeah, I put 2 large ones in here. So it depends on the avocado. If it's a small avocado, I'd probably be 2 to 3 in there. It depends on your bowl too and how much you make. But this, I just put 2 avocados in, and it's pretty much going to do the trick. And I've made a mess all over your table. I'm sorry.
That's why it's plastic.
All right. Now that layer's in, and I am not a very good presenter of food, so please just forgive the way that looks. If I ever did make it to Food Network, they're going to kick me off that show so fast because I don't make my food look pretty. People are going to be like, that's my theory. Eat with your eyes closed, then you won't know what you're eating. All right, the next layer we're going to do is shredded lettuce. As you know, lettuce is rabbit food. It's good for you. And when you eat your chips, you don't feel as guilty because you're eating something healthy, your salad. So you're just going to coat enough salad to coat the top. I'm going to get a spoon out now to make it pretty. Then on top, this is literally called the ultimate layer, so that's why we keep going. Who cares about the number? After the lettuce, we're going to do tomatoes. And did you know that tomatoes can help cure cancer? And it can also help prevent cancer in your body from forming. So we are going to add a lot of tomatoes. What'd you say?
Tater sandwiches.
Yep, that's the good stuff. Especially in the summer when they're taste right, so good, much better. All right, now that we've got tomato, black olives. Now, I found it kind of gross, the idea of the black olives being in there, because I don't eat these unless they're on pizza or they're in something. I can't stand the taste of olives. I'm kind of weird that way. But they taste really good in here. You don't even taste them. And my husband, he doesn't like them at all. And he actually will eat this with them in here, so hopefully y'all will enjoy it too. But olives are extremely healthy for you. They can help lower cholesterol and blood pressures and things, so this stuff is really good. I'm going to actually turn you into a healthy person when you're done with this. All your diseases and sicknesses are going to go away. Exactly. It'll just wipe out that chocolate you ate. Now, the only other bad thing that's not really bad for you is the cheese that we're going to put on top. Can anyone tell me what the healthiest cheese to eat is?
Guess mozzarella.
Actually, it's Parmesan. It's Parmesan. Parmesan is the healthiest cheese that you can eat. I found that kind of odd. Yep. I have a homemade Caesar salad dressing in here, and I use Parmesan instead of romaine. So I'm addicted to Parmesan. If it would work in here, I would actually put it in here. It has less fat in it, yep, which makes it healthier, and it also is high in protein. Did y'all know that that was high in protein? I had no idea either. It's the highest protein packed cheese that there is. And I'm thinking, cheese has protein? That's kind of funny. But if you don't like cheddar, you can use Monterey Jack, any flavor you want. And I'll tell you too, the sharper the cheese is, the less you eat because it has more flavor. So it's actually not going to be as bad because you're not going to be loading up with cheese like you normally would. But just to cover it up, since this is a presentation, I have to make sure it looks somewhat pretty for you. All right, after we do the protein, the cheese, and the dairy, the other only not so good for you thing. Also, I didn't add salt because I don't use salt. But two, cheese has salt already in it. So if you ever cook with cheese, I wouldn't add salt because you're going to get the sodium from the cheese. Last thing is green onion. And I'm going to sprinkle it on top for 1, color, and 2, flavor. And did y'all know that onion will melt fat off your body when you eat onions? So if you, again, are eating your parsley and you want to get skinny, gnaw on some onion and you will be skinny by the end of the day. Do y'all smell the onion? Yeah, it's kind of strong because I cut it up last night, and so it's been packed in a little bitty glass jar for all this time. All right, this is our ultimate layer dip. Ta-da!
Beautiful.
Hopefully you won't, it kind of looks mushy, but I swear it tastes really good. Now, I did not make these chips. I did not make them. I'm not claiming them because they're not as good as mine. But I do have these if you would like to try the dip with these chips over the homemade chips. I do have the homemade chips here for you too to dig into, eat as much as you want, eat as much of this as you want. And if y'all have any questions, feel free to ask me. But that's the end of my presentation. So thank you for letting me come and speak with you guys today. They're $16.99. And my testimony, a quick version is in there because as God, I'm not selling a book. I'm sharing my testimony with people, and this is the vessel God told me to do it with this too. So they're here for you guys if you want to get them as gifts, get them for you. I'll sign them if you want to sign them, and just feel free to take a peek at them. Like I was telling some of the ladies, I actually have chicken parmesan in here, onion rings in here, crab cakes, and you know that those are all so fattening for you. I do have the fattening version in here if you want to fatten it up, but I have the baked version on the same page, so if you want to bake them, I teach you how to bake them, and they taste just as good, so you're not eating all the fried stuff if you're not into the frying thing. So feel free to take a peek, and if you have questions, feel free to ask.